had another breakthrough. I have to be quiet because people are sleeping. So this meter is showing current flowing through the resistive load, and that's really hot. And this meter shows voltage on the resistive load. Transmitter is consuming 20 volts, a little over half an amp. Less than 20 watts. Goes to my special rectifier circuit. Goes to my antenna. And as you see, there's nothing in the transmitter. Nothing in the antenna. My wireless power effects got a little bit dimmer, but not too bad. As you see when I touch this, there's no change on this meter reading. These meter readings. That's 150 watt halogen lit to a little under half intensity. So by that I should be able to calculate my power that's being run into the load. And that's giving off real heat. I can feel that, that's a lot of heat. And that's how many watts I'm consuming. Less than 20. I'll disconnect the halogen. My wireless power springs back to very strong levels, and my DC voltages will climb very high. Wireless power spring back very strong. That's that output. That's lighting up. So I'll show you the watt meter. It actually consumes just to balance out. So with load connected, hold on, load connected consumes 27 watts. Load disconnected, we consume 19. So we're using 8 watts. The transmitter uses 8 more watts to run a halogen to a little under half intensity. I think this is the Overunity output. And you've noticed that I have an earth connection here to my rectifier, which seems to help. Literally just an earth connection. I'm touching it. As you see, I'm not getting shocked. It's an earth connection. Like I'm touching it. Just an earth connection. Voltage going into the load. Amperage flowing through the load. So half an amp is flowing through that halogen. With 17 volts left to spare, we'll disconnect. Amperage drops and our voltage climbs. That's DC. It's almost 240 volts DC at almost 1 amp if it's dead shorted, but I don't like dead shorting it. Notice when I connect the load, wireless power gets a little dimmer. So I'm going to try and fix that effect, probably by some kind of tuning. Next I will hook up this extremely bright LED. Let's try that. Oh my god, that's bright. 40 volts left to spare. Consuming, I think that's maybe 50 milliamps. Probably switch it to the other scale and get a more accurate reading. And the light's gonna go out when I do this. Ha! I was right, 55 milliamps. So then I can calculate power on that. Damn, that's bright. Wireless power is very strong. Most of the effects came back. Still have at range wireless power. Very good. Very, very good. Like my giant magnet. Interesting. Even in the water. So, if you run too much of a load at this output, it decreases your wireless power. So I'll remove this load now. You can see the kind of power that's in there. So now I will connect something better. I will now connect. No, I had a smaller. Let's try this one. This is a 50 watt. No, it's 100 watt. I don't know if you can see that, but it's 100 watts. I'll try connecting that. See what that does. DC is climbing when it's unloaded. Okay, that is lit, and he's giving off a lot of heat. 27 volts to spare, and obviously too much current is flowing through. Okay, it's all about finding the right load. That one looks like he's almost full intensity, maybe 70%. 24 volts left to spare, consuming 370 milliamps. Transmitters consuming 35 watts. A little on the high side, I don't like that. 20 now. Maybe I can tune it. Okay, it seems to have gotten tuned a bit. Consuming 20. Load is lit. Still have wireless power. When you touch that, it gets brighter. As you see, it's just a receiver coil. I think this is true free energy now. If this output was a bit more refined, this is probably what could run itself indefinitely off a battery. I think this output is Overunity. I have to do the math. Bright. That's very bright. Ouch. I'll hook back up the big one. Large resistive loads seem to drop the input power. So you can see that. 26 watts now. Disconnect. So for the price of like 7 watts, I can run this bulb to almost half intensity, just at the price of 6 extra watts. Something not normal is occurring here. 17 volts left to spare, half an amp flowing through the load, still have wireless power. If I bring my ground connection, this is just a ground to my heater. Bring this ground connection to my light. It'll probably get very bright. Yep, very bright. No change on load. No change on input. I'll be disconnecting. Disconnected ground from receiver. 23.75. Connecting. There is a small change. The input went down even further. That is interesting. Still have wireless power. Still got wireless power. Okay, wonder if I still get these effects. It's probably dampened. It's very dim. Still lights, but it's extremely dim. It's important to find the right resistive load there that's balanced for the system. I think this output here is equal to the input. So I'm going to disconnect this ground. Throw that out of the way. Just thought I'd share that. That was a breakthrough. Something shorting out. There we go. So you can see where all this is connected. Have an antenna, transmitter, power supply. Obviously the power supply is what's running the transmitter and creating all the wireless power. Turn it off and then on, off, on, off, on. Should immediately tell you that something interesting is occurring here that's not quite normal. So, just thought I'd share that. This rectifier goes, AC side goes to earth, AC side goes to the base of the transmitter, DC side positive goes to the antenna, DC negative goes back to the return on the power supply, and that's what gives the huge amperage. And then you also run a set of extra leads to run your load, and that's it. And my meter shut off. So I'm pretty sure that's an Overunity output here, and that's very hot. Wish I had a thermal gun. If I run two in series. That's an interesting effect. It was like welding for a second. Not sure. Leave that right there. We have a variable resistance here, a big one. For more tuning, and wireless power got better. This video has already gone on long enough. I'm just going to connect the 9-volt battery to it and see what the hell happens. Running that. I'm going to shut off my DC supply. Disconnect the positive. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. I'll do this. Disconnect the positive. And now I need these negative earth connections here, so I will not remove them. Positive of the transmitter will connect the positive of the battery. So hopefully you can see that. Positive of the transmitter connects to the battery. Now I'll connect the negative to here, and the DC supply is off and it should run it. Use white as my negative color. I didn't disconnect the negative because I need those ground connections for this to work. So here's the negative. We'll see what happens. No oscillations are occurring. I may have to disconnect the load and then reconnect. Okay, that seems to have done the trick. We have a glow. We have voltage that's left over. We have current that's flowing through into the load. We have wireless power still from a 9-volt battery. Better wireless power. It's impressive that it can run a resistive load like that and still generate heat. I'll now connect the LED bulb and it should run this to full brightness in theory. DC voltage is climbing. Connecting. Okay, we have illumination. Still have wireless power. Wonder how good off the 9-volt battery. Extremely efficient. It's almost self-running. In case you don't think it's running off the battery. It's running all off the battery. Wirelessly. That's a big bulb. Trying to do some tuning. Oh. There's some fine tuning. It likes that. I'll shut my light off now. See all these effects off my 9-volt battery that's running it. That is off. Assuming not so much is going through the LED. Still got wireless power. Pretty impressive range wireless power. We have half the room lit up. Half of these one-wire receivers are lit up in my room. I'll shut off all lights to show that. That's an awful lot of light from a little 9-volt battery, don't you think? Lighting up half my room with it. With one wire and wirelessly. Still have the impressive ground transmission effects off a 9-volt battery. Absolutely stunningly impressive breakthrough. Breakthrough. Remarkable technology. This device is acting as an energy pump. I now still have the wireless power. So I can lay you down right here. Not really. Damn. Oh well, I think I showed enough in this video. Battery disconnected. It's dark, really dark. Battery reconnected. Can't see what I'm doing. Got ya. That's real free wireless energy. You can receive more power than you output. Off a battery. There's the specs. In case anyone doubts me. And yeah, this video's gone on too long, so stay tuned for more.